Okay, okay, let's do it. All right, guys, welcome to Local Host Denver. We're here in Lakewood, Colorado, the heart of Denver. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Manco Store and Physgun, for sponsoring everything that happened for this land to happen. So thank you guys so much. And I'd also like to give a quick shout out to Catfish, who was able to help us get some questions and get some research going prior to this video, because guess who I have? I have people from across the Pacific. If you guys would like to introduce yourselves, we'll start with you.
I'm Cookie. Hello.
And I'm Silvo.
And what team are we representing here?
Witness Gaming Australia. Glass. Shout out to Glass Cyber, one of our sponsors.
Oh, yeah, that is true. We also had to do a whole revamp of the logo for that. Who did that? Desi?
Yeah, I think Desi mashed it up with Glass Cyber's logo. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, speaking of all that design stuff, if you guys are interested, on our website we have Witness Gaming Australia merchandise, and there's also a fundraiser. The fundraiser is still, it's technically completed, but it's still going on. So if you still want to add some extra money, hopefully these guys can break the 4th place curse for better, not for worse. We don't want these guys ending up 5th or 6th. So yeah, don't want that to happen. So we're going to do this little whole schmazzle dazzle, do some questions, get your guys' answers. But first off, before we get started on any of the hard-hitting questions regarding Witness Gaming Australia and the career, your guys' careers, how was the flight to Denver?
It was pretty brutal. So we went Melbourne to San Fran, 14 hours. It was Silvo's first flight in 10 years or something.
Yeah,
so
10 years.
Yeah, we were a bit cooked. That was on Tuesday. Today's Wednesday. And then from San Fran, we had a 3-hour layover. And then another 2.5 hours to Denver from there. So yeah, it was long, but we're happy to be here.
And also, before we even got here, we were supposed to be at the venue at 3 or something, and then Silvo was still crashed out on the...
Yeah.
But it's funny because earlier for breakfast, you were playing basketball with Enrith, and I think it was...
It's because he didn't sleep last night.
Because, I woke up at 1 a.m. and stayed up until breakfast.
Yeah. Still got a few days to recover from jet lag.
Well, anyways, with that out of the way, let's get started with the questions, So you guys started in Oz Fortress season 28 or 29, I believe, under Soiree. And Cookie, you're considered, at least for now, maybe alongside Enrith, one of the most storied Australian TF2 players that are still active right now. Unless you want to count Paulson, I guess. You're a super sub who just played in the grand final in place of you. But run me down how you guys formed, because you are undoubtedly what people would consider the captain of the squad.
Okay, so Soiree was season 29. The team at the time that had just won the previous Oz Fortress season was called Happy Feet. Which consisted of, from memory, Down, who's currently with us. It was sort of like Down, Redcoat, Yule, Aisho. I can't remember. Doge?
Yeah, Doge and
Fane. So they'd won for a couple seasons. I was playing on sort of like meme teams like Jasmine Beef. And then season 29, we decided to try again. Well, not try again, but try to beat Happy Feet because they were pretty dominant for those couple seasons. And I can't remember who exactly floated the idea of this team initially. And I actually think it might have been Down, who was on Happy Feet.
That's the more accurate response. It was Down who created our team.
So Down actually created our team while he was playing on the team that was currently winning.
And he was scout at the time, no?
Yeah.
I think he was, flank scout. So then he was like, he threw together us 6, maybe. So me, Silvo, Wright and Paulson were our soldiers at the time, and then obviously Enrith and Lau. So we scrimmed a little bit. We thought the team had pretty good potential, and we sort of took it from there. And
so undoubtedly, Down is actually the founder of the team, the mastermind.
Unfortunately, Down is the mastermind.
Why are we saying unfortunately, though?
I don't know.
He doesn't want any face on the team. He wants to be hidden in the shadows.
Yeah, he's puppeteer.
Sure, he does give off that kind of vibe, especially with the new Witness Gaming hoodie.
It is funny that he made a team just to beat the team he was on, only to ultimately join that team he created. Yeah.
And then at the time it was Riot and Paulson on Soldier.
That's right.
Was that just like a something that was decided without any long-term prospects? Because eventually you guys now have Connor and down as the Soldiers.
Yeah, it was definitely not like a LAN team at the time. It was just like a season team. We thought Riot was really good. He originally was a Roma player, if people in Australia would know. Really good Roma. But I don't know what the reasoning was to put him on Pocket, but we thought it worked really well. And he complemented Enrith and I, as well as Lau. And then I think the Silvo Paulson flank was also really powerful.
Honestly, I think the two roles are just so similar. So it's just like, whatever, just chuck him on Pocket. And we just wanted the best player possible, because that was my first like try-hard Prem season, I guess.
Oh,
it was
really?
like my first Prem win as well.
Okay. So like it was like kind of like your first time like actually competing towards the top like for a try-hard.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, okay. That actually does make a lot more sense, because like I guess in terms of historical context, I guess maybe you're like one of the more newer players in a sense in terms of your rise in the scene.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
that?
On our
Cookie
team, like me and Connor are definitely like the newer players.
Right, because actually if
But we're kind of old as now, so.
Yeah.
I mean now yes.
Yeah.
Back then
Yeah.
rookies,
That's right.
in a sense. And I think comparable to Cookie's history, I think Enrith is maybe similar in terms
I think
of
Enrith started in our 10, 9, 11.
11.
Oh, so I started before Enrith then, because my first season was our 10. So it was called the Oz Fortress Winter League back then. Division 6.
Dang, you guys are old.
Played in a team. Division 6 was the worst one, by the way. So like,
Good God.
really in the shit leagues there. I played Scout still under a team called Too Young to Drink. Yeah, it was a fun team. That was my first foray. That was ages ago now. I don't even remember.
Hey, but you still remembered it to some degree. You remembered that you even played on that. So.
Oh, you always remember where you start from.
So, with that out of the way, by the time the team had formed, I think that was around, what is 2022, 2021?
It's 2020, like the end of 2020.
Yeah, and around that time, that was when the pandemic had hit, and Land Down Under was supposed to be happening. But one thing that I want to touch on is that, versus RGL in North America and versus Europe, I guess now the equivalent to that would be Poland. Like, Land Down Under seems to be a annual thing right now for the Australians or Oz Fortress scene. So you guys have that land that you guys are able to come to every year that may feature mixed teams, some of the best of the best. If anything, telling of the last Land Down Under that just happened, it did feature the best of the best in that grand final. So what do you think? Because it was an idea conceived by Mitch and Capping TV. How important do you perceive Land Down Under in the Australian and our Oz Fortress scene for you guys?
Well, the last LAN we went to, like, all of us pretty much like quit the game like last year. Like, we just stopped playing because I don't think we didn't hear anything about any international LANs or anything. That was like the only reason our team was staying together, to be honest. And then as soon as Mitch like made that LAN, we kind of just all were like, oh yeah, fuck it, let's just go.
So did you guys not actually practice at all prior to that LAN?
No.
Is that why the grand final was a lot closer than what maybe most from looking from afar would have perceived?
Yeah,
that's the cope that we were
well,
watched.
the next season after, we played pretty much the same team. We just steamrolled them in the grand finals.
Yeah. I see some cockiness.
In terms of like the LAN generally, it wasn't like necessarily. It wasn't tied to any seasons or anything. We sort of always saw it like as a fun thing. The previous LANs as well weren't like super competitive either. So I think it was more like play with your mates, that sort of vibe, hang out, rather than like
a big
try
meet-up.
hard. Yeah, it was never like a try hard LAN.
Oh, so Land Down Under is more like a way for the community to have a social gathering.
Yeah,
pretty much.
That's
It's
how
like
we view it.
when you
Yeah,
get to play.
yeah, exactly.
Like that's like the bonus, I guess, playing.
But would you say it's still like a very important part of the scene for you guys, or is it just more like a added bonus that just helps bring the scene together a little more?
To be honest, like the previous venues besides from last year were like god awful. Like we only started getting like a decent venue. Like we went to Internet Cafe in 2023, which was pretty bad.
Oh.
And then we finally moved to like actual like
the
Esports
Alienware
venue.
Arena.
The Fortress was awesome. Mitch Cliff did a great job organising that, and the rest of the Capping TV people. But yeah, it was definitely more of a social event, I think.
Okay.
It wasn't like an important fixture of everyone's calendar of like, this is where the greatest Australian TF2 is going to be played that year.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, it's still fun though.
No, totally understandable. There's always different aspects for LANs. I mean, most people like in the US, we would host these small LANs, and it would just be you just invite your friends over. They would bring their setups, and you would play together because that's your way of socializing with each other.
Yeah.
So in a sense, I kind of reason or correlate LAN Down Under to that kind of social setting. So, but speaking of competitive international LANs, I remember when we first conceived Physgun Fireside Denver 2025, I had reached out to Lau, messaging him asking, hey, do you guys want to come over? Do you guys have any interest in coming to North America? And I got a flat, straight no, in a sense. So I didn't know if he communicated it to you guys, but eventually, after talking to Witness, we were able to get some ground made, and then eventually you guys came around and said, hey, we'll come over to North America to come play. So what was, the whole reasoning behind finally saying, hey, we'll come to North America, we'll play against the Euros and the North Americans?
Well, there is some lore behind that, because you and Earth and Lau,
yeah,
we had a different team that like maybe would have came here, because they were like pretty much done after we won LAN Down Under. They're like, because we didn't hear anything, because it would have been like late last year. Yeah, something would have been told for us, and so we had a team. It was me, Robor, and Scout. Who else soldier? It was Down and Connor, and then we had Matt and Dojo Medic and Matt and Demo. Right, and pretty much. I'm pretty sure it was just Down that just like begged them to come back, like Cookie and Earth and Loud to just come back and play, and then we eventually convinced to get our original team back, and that's pretty much.
Were scrims not going that well that Down had to beg?
No, we never played as the other team. As the other team, but that was like we were just gonna go with that because like they were pretty much done. Yeah, and we were just like, this is gonna be the best international LAN in a while, so we have to go to it. The
reason I thought I was done was I started working like properly full time in 2023. No, yes. Wait, what are we in? 2025 now? 2024? Yeah. No, 2024, sorry. Okay. And LAN Down Under. Yeah. Sorry, I'll start again. I was full time working by then, so I didn't think I'd have like the time or energy to commit to this. Been trying to go overseas for ages, but it never lined up for whatever reason. So after LAN Down Under, I thought that was it. So I was just like, nah, I won't play anymore. There's no point playing online. And then, these guys said, hey, we're actually going to try go again. And I was like, fuck's sake, now we're trying to go. Like once I've actually started working and stuff. But I was like, nah, screw it. We'll make it work. So here we are.
So did you have to quit your job to come here?
I'm still working.
Okay.
So my life for the past 6 months, I've just been working and then like hopping on TF2 in the evenings. It's been grim.
Is that why you couldn't make the grand final? Because Paulson subbed for you.
I couldn't make the grand finals because I was overseas visiting family.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's reasonable. And I mean, the super sub came in clutch, even though Bagel. Well, we had to switch.
Is it clutch if he had to drop 62 or something?
I had to kick him off Convo Scout.
Yeah, grim.
That was that was against. Was Robor on that team or was it the Tachyon team?
They were both soldier on that team.
I only caught the last map and So with that being said, I do have to ask, how did you guys originally meet Witness, and how did this whole sponsorship thing end up going for you guys? Yeah. Because it wasn't even, this isn't your first time meeting him. He's previously sponsored you guys for LAN Down Under and previous Oz Fortress seasons, and yet you were able to get his support again for this LAN. So run me through how you were able to meet him.
Would have been like 2022 or 2023. We were like, let's try go to LAN. We'll reach out to people. We'll like try get sponsored during our like online seasons first, and then we'll with the goal of going over eventually. I can't remember who first made contact. It might have been Enrith. But we just sort of messaged him out the blue, just jumped on Discord, had a convo, and that was that. He was always supportive from the beginning. It's just been awesome. Yeah.
Speaking of supportive, when we launched the fundraiser for Physgun Fireside Denver 2025, we had to do one for you guys, one for the Europeans. But your guys' fundraiser came first, and within, I believe, less than a week, we were.
I think we were pretty much done.
Yeah, at least more than 70% of the way through. Were you guys expecting this outpour of support from the community,
No.
or were you just grasping for straws, like reaching out to anybody, saying like, "Hey, come help us get to Physgun Fireside Denver 2025"?
Well, if you actually look at our fund rate, we added so many perks because we didn't think we'd get anything, to be honest. Like, we didn't think we'd make it anywhere near our goal. That's why we have so many, like, now we regret, like, adding so many perks to do.
The
Now we have so
milestones.
much stuff to fulfill.
Yeah. And it's all coming, by the way. And we'll do the raffle when we get back for the unusuals. But yeah, shout out to like all the Australian community. We were like absolutely shocked that this many people were willing to help out. We thought we'd have to be out of pocket a lot more. But seeing like the community support's just been great. Yeah, very thankful.
Right. Not only in terms of the support that we were able to do on the side of Fireside, but we've had some people from the community help out. For example, Desi, who's doing some designer work, I guess, for Oz Fortress, like a graphic designer, made that burger shirt, which unfortunately I wasn't able to order for you guys.
That's
So,
all right.
Sorry,
And
we're
yeah,
kind of
thank
broke
you,
here.
Desi.
So one thing, now that we're moving forward from like, talking about getting you guys into Physgun Fireside Denver 2025, there's something that I want to touch before that, is that you guys have been arguably the most dominant team in your region, maybe even eclipsing that of Team Immunity or Jasmine T. The only thing that you guys were missing from those two is the fact that you guys never had the chance to play internationally. So prior to this, would you say you guys have had winner's fatigue, meaning you guys just never were on the boundary of retirement just because you guys felt like there was no competition in your region? You guys felt like you had accomplished everything you set out to do, and unless there was this LAN, for example, that was happening, there was no real point in continuing your career.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Once you've sort of done all of Australia, the natural thing is to see what you can do internationally. So that's sort of why we're here. And there was definitely a time period in the past few years where we've played these seasons. There hasn't been like much competition. So we feel like we wouldn't be testing our limits unless we went overseas.
Right.
And yeah, definitely a lot of winners fatigue. Yeah.
I mean, he pretty much said everything. Like, a lot of time when we try to play another season, there's always one person that's just like, nah, there's no point and stuff like that. So, yeah, pretty much we just win too much, I guess.
Well, that's reasonable to say. And before I move on a little further, I do want to add a little thing where it's like, you played with Riot, you played with Paulson, you played with Doc, and who was one of the most influential of those past members towards the team's development in general?
They were all really influential. I think Ryan and Paulson at the start it was just like the good thing to do for our team at that point in time. I touched on it a little bit before, but they're both really solid players that have lots of impact in their own ways. Like Paulson and Silvo would terrorize the flank one, he would provide the DM and Paulson would provide like the going behind distraction thing. I think Paulson statistically had the worst season or something ever. No, I'm making that up. But his Paulson stats were really bad, but he was really smart about what he was doing, and it really opened up a lot of plays for us. And that's, I think, something that still continues today, where our flank is really strong and we feel like they make a lot of things work for us. And then I think Wright and Connor are both really solid, like sort of rocks that help support both the flank and combo equally. And then, so yeah, I'd say those two are really important. Dork was also really important as well. When we first started thinking about going internationally, he's just got good, strong DM. Yeah.
Anything to add?
Not really.
No.
Quick pause. His camera died. I don't know if he has a spare battery.
That's fine. we keep going on then.
Do we want to adjust this one to them? Just those two then?
Yeah,
Instead of a wide?
let's do that. So, where were we at actually? We were just talking about
Past
Past
players.
yeah.
as players, yeah. So then, earlier in that answer, you mentioned when you were talking about past players on the team, you mentioned you had a strong flank. So, is that what separates Witness Gaming Australia from the rest of the teams in Australia? Like, what puts you guys far ahead and above beyond the rest of the competition?
Go ahead.
I don't know how to say this without making me sound like a dickhead, but
We're all
I feel
for the
like
smoke.
like me and Down specifically are really good comms for our team. Like we always like put everyone on the same page.
Mhm.
I feel like we're like one of the bigger voices on the team in terms of when we actually play, and I think he would agree with that.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. I think the main thing is that you just have to like be on the same page, and that's how you can just like incorporate everyone. That's how a flank can be a lot stronger with a lot of support from the combo.
He's also understating how insane their DM is, and it's easily the best in Australia. To go back to why what separates us, yeah, I think they have just insane DM coordination and brains.
Is that what will separate Witness Gaming Australia though from the rest of the teams, the top teams
Hopefully.
at Denver?
Yeah,
Dunno.
I'm not too sure. We'll see what happens after boot camp today.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, do we want to touch on who we're scrimming against today?
So we've got G6 at 6 local to 8,
Mhm.
and then we've got the J and Slim team from 8 to 10.
And then tomorrow, who are I think we're scrimming Froyo Tech tomorrow.
Yeah,
aren't
tomorrow
we?
we've got the EU show
Froyo,
match, and then
yeah.
Froyo after that.
Yeah. And then who's the last one after that? Are you not doing a
I
third
think
one?
we've got I think G6 and Freo again
Yeah.
On
Friday.
Friday, yeah. But they'll be here on Friday as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be good. Some in-person scrims.
So, of the competition that we've just mentioned, who are you guys considering maybe your biggest opponent that you guys, or the toughest task that you'll have as an opponent heading into Denver? Or maybe there's a specific player that you are looking forward to playing against?
Yeah, I think playing against Freo will be really tough. It'll take us some time to adapt to like the NA, and I think they encapsulate the NA sort of style really well, where it's very fast, very chaotic. Yeah, going for fights all the time, and that's not something we've seen in Australia pretty much at all. It's pretty sort of controlled. It's definitely not as fast paced, so that's something we will have to get used to. So I'm keen to get into that.
I'm a big fan of like the J Slim, like Puggy style team. Like I feel like that'll probably like a really good watch for like any team to verse that. Just the way they play is awesome, I think.
Is there a specific player in mind that you guys are watching out for or looking forward to playing against in particular?
It's just got to be Banny.
Yeah.
I
Annie.
want to see what Banny's like in person. See
Yeah.
if he'll actually talk to us. Probably not.
No, it makes sense. He's, obviously played the longest. Like when I first started, he was around playing LANs, winning internationally. So it's actually crazy that I've been around for so long, and when I started, he was at the top, and he's still like right up there. So it'd be awesome. And just like he's the main leader of Freo Tech, obviously. So he's the one that has created this play style. So it'd be great to play against.
Right. And speaking of, the historical context of Banyan being the longest standing player in TF2, you guys are being compared to your predecessors in Jasmine T and Team Immunity. They have created what we call the fourth place curse, where they have never been able to place higher or lower.
Or lower,
They've always
yeah.
placed fourth.
It's definitely possible.
So you have the eyes of an entire region on you. What is the biggest pressure that you guys think you will face here coming into this land?
Oh,
Just don't come fourth.
yeah.
Fourth. Like third or better is the bare minimum, I think.
Yeah, that is like, I guess that is the baseline, right? We
Yeah.
can't do worse than that. So it is a lot of pressure, actually. I don't think it hasn't hit me yet personally, like having the weight of the nation or whatever, however you want to describe it.
No worries.
It hasn't hit us yet. I think come Saturday when we start, I think the pressure will be dialed right up.
There's definitely a different atmosphere, because this is
Oh,
like
yeah.
maybe what you guys may consider your first serious LAN
Yeah,
that you're
yeah,
playing
for
in.
sure.
So
Yeah,
obviously, we don't know how different the environment will be from playing in your home or playing at the LAN down under.
Yeah.
Things may just be completely different now, and eventually, it'll hit you straight like a bullet.
yeah,
You won't notice it, but once it hits you, bam, it's instant, and you'll know it right then and there.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So I think biggest challenge will be overcoming that and adapting, and yeah,
I believe, and I'm just saying this because I want to make sure I'm correct. You guys play on the continuous overtime rule set, correct? And Witness EU do not play on that. At least ETF2L doesn't.
yeah.
Do you think coming into this LAN, having played on the same rule set as the North Americans, it'll give you at least a head start on preparing as you head into boot camp within, I think, the next hour or so?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I didn't know the ETF2L didn't use continuous overtime yet,
No, so
but we've
they're
had
doing
it for a few seasons. I think it's really good. The last LAN, the LAN down under didn't run it because of time constraints, I think, so we haven't played on it.
Did we not? Or did we
No.
play Golden Cap?
I think we played Golden Cap.
Oh.
I think we pushed for it, and then they said, nah, the venue will
Mhm.
kick us out.
Yeah,
So
that
I'm
makes
glad
sense.
it's here. I guess it's like a tiny bit advantage if the Europeans
Yeah.
haven't played on it properly yet, but it's not a huge deal.
Yeah, it's not something that you like need to get used to. Like take a long time to get used to. I
Yeah.
don't think. Just like another thing you kind of think about. Like, oh, we have more time to. Like, if we're losing, we have more time to do stuff still.
Yeah.
Well, also, you did mention earlier when you were talking about Fortech is that they're unorthodox in the sense that in your region, you've never played against a team that tries to push the limit on very small advantages. That's what Fortech tends to do because Bandy likes to call on the fly.
Mhm.
Once he sees an opening, he expects his team to be, right then and there able to react to make it an even wider margin of an open opportunity. So, in that sense, kind of, would you say that the competition in Australia makes you a little less prepared for this LAN?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and I guess that ties back to like what we were talking about, how we were getting winners fatigue or whatever, in the sense that like no one plays as good as us in Australia, so it also makes sense that the practice we get leading up to it isn't as great. There's 3-4 great NA teams, and they're all like scrimming each other in the lead up, which is awesome practice for them. But we were struggling to pull together merc teams or mixed teams, you might call them, to play against us, and they often were like steamrollers or people would stop trying. So in that sense, no, I don't think we've been able to prepare optimally, but
Have you been able to look at any demos of the teams? Because I don't exactly know what your prep has been prior to your travels.
Our prep has been trying to scrim most nights with some sort of mixed team, at least get our DM like up to scratch. We've watched a few demos, yeah. No major thoughts, I guess.
So then,
Bit of studying.
what do you think? I want an answer from both of you on this one. What do you think will be the edge, or what do you think will be the key for getting Witness Gaming Australia and New Zealand? I guess actually no one here is new. No one's a Kiwi, so just Australia. What do you think will be the key for getting you guys on the podium? Like, what is the edge that will get you guys there?
I honestly think just having good comms goes a long way, and then I'm confident in everyone's like decision making ability to make the right play. So yeah, good comms is all we need. That's something I think we've struggled with a little bit in our prep. Just because our scrims have been so bad, no one really wants to be like that guy that's like sweating their dick off. Like that's like the general consensus.
Yeah, good comms, good team play, no beefing. Yeah, I think. Look, honestly, I think TF2 is pretty simple when you like break it down. So as long as we coordinate and stay active and lively, I think we should be in with a good shot.
So before we kind of get into the personal questions, I want to talk about, do you watch other esports or like get a general idea of what other esports are like as a whole? Like in terms of like the competition in that versus TF2.
You go.
I watch a little bit of CS and Valorant. That's about it.
Okay, so then that actually does give a bit of context to this question. Is that compared to other esports where there's always an ever changing, the champions, whoever's being crowned champions, it's always switching
Yeah.
hands. So in TF2 though, Europe, Australia, North America, it's always been the same champion in general. I mean, only in recent times, I guess you could take like a G6 versus Frotech, for example, is where you're seeing a constant change of hands of who's being the champion, because it was G6 for a few lands, and now Frotech has recently taken the crown back. What do you think is the reason that there's always this one team that's always ahead of the rest of the region in general, regardless of whether it's Europe, North America, Australia? Why do you think that's the case in TF2? I guess you could probably say that maybe it's due to the fact that this is more so a hobby, a grassroots esport where everybody's playing it on the side while balancing real life priorities. But maybe there's something else that you guys would think is the case.
Well, I think just for Australia, like speaking just for Australia, I feel like if teams just stuck around for like longer than more than like 1 or 2 seasons as a core, it might be a little bit better. But everyone just like, oh, we didn't win this time, I'm just go play with my friends or something. So yeah, if people just stuck around for a little bit longer, it might be a little bit better and like a little more competition. But this doesn't happen in Australia.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Like, teams get really dejected after losing a season, and then they, I don't know, cut people,
Yeah.
reform, like, do all that stuff. So I think more continuity in teams, probably an answer. Especially if you're going up a team that's been together for a lot longer than you have. You can't sort of like instantly create a new team
Oh, yeah.
to beat them, I think. Yeah. Is that how sort of, I don't know NA history that much, is that sort of how led to what G6's like first win against Freo? They'd been around for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It aligns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they had lost 3 straight lands to Frotech.
Yeah.
2
breakthrough,
RGL
yeah.
seasons, I think. So.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect example, I guess, because no losing second place team in Australia has stuck around for what, more than 2 seasons probably. Yeah.
Speaking of Australia, there's not a lot of documentation on you guys in terms of like your come up on the scene. There's no one that's willing to do, you know, the documentaries that we've seen for like I-46, past international competitions. I mean, there's even YouTubers doing videos on specific players like Banny, or I don't know who else other than Banny, actually, to be quite frank. So
Boshi. The rise and fall of Boshi. I saw that one.
Oh, Rise and Fall of Boshi. Not a competitive player, but a competitive jumper or competitive sixes player. So that being said, what did it take for you guys? Answer from both of you individually. What did it take for you guys to rise from wherever you started it in Nos Fortress back then to reach the top of Prem?
Well, yeah, I guess it was a long journey for me. I think I said before, started Al 10, Div 6, and then I think I went Div 6, Div 4, Div 2, and then I won my like first season, I can't remember when, Div 3, and then started playing Prem or Div 1 properly after that. I guess what it was just playing a lot. This game's fucking awesome, everyone knows that. It's just so fun. So sticking around, learning from as many people as I could, playing in teams. I think I actually had a few teams that stuck around for multiple seasons, which probably helped in terms of developing as a player. And just always trying to like take it to the top team at the time and be better. That sort of mindset.
Well, for me, I started out on a laptop, so I was like open, an intermediate, like played a couple seasons of those, just like disbanded a few times, played probably like 1 serious season of those 2, and then when I got my computer, I pretty much like got better a lot quicker, and then I just became like a hated pugger. Like everyone hated me in pugs in that period. Like he would tell you, like I was probably like the most annoying pugger in that period. Like him, the top players like Redco, Yul, Enrith, they all hated playing against me. And then I think for me personally, it was always like I knew how good I was in pugs. I just like needed the opportunity to like play on a top team, and I think that's when people started like actually respecting the way I played, because I could actually do it on a better team. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much from there. And then they picked me off, and then
It was like the Stewie 2K of
Pug Lord to a
yeah.
seasoned veteran.
yeah,
That's right.
I would do the dumbest shit, and everyone would just get so angry at me in pugs. This was, mind you, I was like 15 at this time as well, like 14, 15, doing the stuff.
Did not impact your social development, did you?
I wouldn't say so.
Okay, just
I don't
make
ask
sure.
you to decide, not me.
just, just throwing it out there, you know. So, that being said, when players, you know, are on the come up, you know, they're trying to improve, they always say, watch a demo of this certain player. So for most roamers in the scene, that would probably be Blaze from Florida Tech. At least back then, for me, that's what I had to learn when I was maining roamer. Maybe if you're in the European scene, you'd look towards somebody like Cadus, so on and so forth. Was there a specific player that you tried to mirror your play style or like your current level of play off of?
Not really, I think. When I was sort of playing and learning the game and getting better, I didn't really watch many demos, like many povs of people. I thought what was more important was like talking through things together as a team, and figuring out what to do in what situations rather than like the individual micro bits. And that's sort of how I've always played, more thinking about the team as a whole rather than like, you know, what should I do in this very specific circumstance that this player encountered, that sort of vibe. So in that sense, yeah, I don't know, I've just sort of done whatever I thought was best rather than modeling off like a specific player.
Yeah, I was never really a demo watcher as well, but maybe for me, maybe Arik from when he played on Froyo, like he was definitely like the most entertaining player to watch when he was playing in his prime, I think, and maybe like a little bit of that seeped into my gameplay, just the way he like thought about the game and the way he played.
Next question would be most influential player to your development, teammate wise.
Well, he's probably gonna give me a lot of shit for this, but probably Paulson, annoyingly. And not for teaching me how to play Scout, by the way. Definitely not. But in terms of like taking like the Prem gameplay to the next level, in terms of like leading a team, calling, like structuring, everything like that mindset, he's really good. Obviously led Jasmine T for the few seasons, the multiple seasons that played in, and then the 2 international lands that they went to. So I think Paulson was probably really influential. Shout out to like Santa. I don't think anyone knows Santa, but he was my first, like in Div 6 he was like the leader of that team, and he was sort of showed me the ropes I think a lot. Yeah, so I've had a few, I can't remember them all the time, but always looking towards the leaders of those teams that I played on. Yeah.
I think the worst part is it would be Paulson for me as well.
Fuck, dang.
We're giving him too much credit now.
It's like
He's
Genghis
gonna-
Khan. So many.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Paulson's been around for too long. It's all his
Yeah,
fault,
no.
honestly. He like
Yeah.
inserts himself in those places, it's all his fault. But yeah, I think like Paulson like wouldn't really help like gameplay wise, because it's just like different character. He wasn't as good as he was back then, so but he's like
Oh.
but he's like definitely like
Yeah.
you know, like molding you into like a good teammate, I think, is like what he was like really good at doing for people, like letting them know like what's good for a team, what's bad for a team, and like what helps people, what doesn't.
Did you
Like,
get to
stuff
play
like
with
that.
Paulson on demo?
Nothing.
properly?
Nah, nothing serious.
Yeah, right.
Maybe just like
Yeah.
a serious pug, maybe.
That doesn't count.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a
Paulson
season.
demo. You played with him on demo.
He was demo. It was the Jasmine T, so I played on a version.
Oh yeah,
of
you had that one Jasmine T season.
one
that
version
you
of
played
Jasmine
on.
T. This was post their LAN era, and it was sort of my first time playing with Paulson and like Geo and stuff. And I was playing Combo Scout. It was awesome because Paulson, watching Paulson sort of not in his prime, but like just past it, but still being really fucking good and effective as like the team's demo man who was like main calling everything and stuff. Yeah, that was great.
Man, I don't even know if you have an answer for this because at least you've had like a very dominant career in Premier. So, have you ever had a heartbreaking loss or a match, and why is it memorable for you?
Well, we've lost one tournament. It was we did like a no off class
that one.
sixes tournament,
Uh-huh.
and when was that? It was like 2021, like the start of it.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
Like we just made our team, so we made Soiree and we won season 29, and then maybe like the off season cup was like a no off class cup, and
Yeah.
I think we lost that. What was it, like 3-1 in the finals?
I think 3-1.
I think that was like the only tournament we've lost.
Yeah.
Oh.
That being said, I don't think that one was like super bad for us because
I don't
again
remember,
the cope was it was just an off season, no off class cup, and then we continued playing, so that was all good. Yeah,
I don't really remember what happened in the cup. That's why. But
I think we just sucked.
I think we were just shit.
In terms of other losses, I think before I joined Jasmine team in those Prem seasons, I played on a team with like Redcoat, Yule, Arnold, Sol, like Varna. We were like second place to Jasmine for a few seasons in a row. So those kind of sucked because I knew we could take them on, but it just never sort of happened in the final. They think that they were never going to lose. I think we could have maybe won. But those were very good for me because I could still tell that even though we were losing it as a team, I could definitely be on that level as well, and I sort of helped with my motivation. And
Nothing for you, Silvo?
I did have a grand final against him. Like I played Commerce Guy on the other team. Remember
Which one was that
26 when you had Arnold and Yui?
That one went to 5.
Yeah, that one went to
it?
5
Yeah.
as well.
Oh.
And you'll like this. Paulson made one of the worst comms ever in like the last 5 minutes of process, and we lost us the match.
You remember
in
what the
game
comm
5.
was?
Oh, I don't even remember.
I think it was like pushing
When he sees this, you should ask him about it because he'll hate it. But
it was
it was
process.
like something to do with like pushing last after. Who was it? Hertz hit like an insane sniper headshot.
Yeah,
He
you
surfed through the
guys
choke.
had ad.
Yeah.
Instead of you could have waited for Uber, or you could have just like dry pushed with player out or something. You chose to push, I think, without Uber.
Yeah.
I think, and then we wiped you. It went
Yeah.
like coast to coast and like won the series off that.
Oh no.
Yeah, I barely remember that season. That was a
But
fever
yeah,
dream.
for me, like personally, I felt like I was probably the best player in that series. I think, like, I remember just like completely dismantling their team and like product and
Yeah.
like some other map. Like I don't know. So that for me, I feel like that like instilled confidence in myself to think that I could be at the top. Yeah.
Memorable match that went both ways for you in terms of it being heartbreaking and important to your development as a player, you would say.
Yeah.
Okay. And crap, do I even have any other questions? No, probably not. I think we're actually good here. So I think we'll kick it off. Let these guys get their scrims going because we're actually near. I think we just hit 5:30. So
Awesome.
before that,
Sweet.
other than thanking the general community for getting you guys to Denver, do we have any specific shout outs that we'd like to make here?
Yeah. Shout out to Ellen, my partner, Connor, all the boys back at home, to Witness again, to Cole at Glass Cyber, and then to the whole of the community for helping us get here.
Shout out to Vanquish, and then shout out to Docu Shit Circle Jerk, probably the worst circle jerk in Australia, but shout out to them.
Are we not doing a shout out to Raylan?
Oh yep, shout out Rudder.
Shout out
Thanks for
Retta.
buying our merch, bro.
And yeah, thanks to you guys for hosting this. It'll be an awesome tournament and getting us out here. Yeah.
So we'll let these guys go scrim. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
So yeah.